All right, we're looking at factoring trinomials today. And really this is maybe more complicated trinomials that we're factoring than what we've done in the past. Like right here's one. Write this in factored form. All right, well the first thing you want to do on any trinomial or any polynomial that you're factoring is look and see if there's a common factor that you can factor out first, because that makes the whole process a lot simpler. And in this one here, I noticed 3, 9, and 120. 3 goes in all three of those numbers. So I can factor out a common factor of 3 from all those. In addition to that, they all have an x variable. So I can factor out an x variable too. So 3x is my common factor that goes in all those. And now I'll divide that out. So starting with this first term, 3 divided by 3 would be 1. I've got x to the third. If I divided x out, that's going to leave me an x squared. Okay, then I have negative 9 divided by 3, which is negative 3. I've got an x squared, but I'm dividing one out, so that's going to leave me just an x term here. Then I have negative 120 divided by 3, which is negative 40. And I've got my x term, but I'm dividing it out, so I'll have no x term here. So there's what I get when I factor out this common factor. Okay, so now I have this thing here. Okay, so I'm going to bring him down. But now this here, I believe I can factor it out, this trinomial, like we've done before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 40 here. Now there's no a number here, so that means I can just take my 40, bring my 40 over here, and I'm going to factor it down all ways possible. So 40 divided by 1 is 40. 40 divided by 2 is 20. 40 divided by 3 is a decimal, so I'll skip that, okay? 40 divided by 4 is 10. 40 divided by 5 is 8. 40 divided by 6 is a decimal, so I'll skip that. 40 divided by 7 is a decimal, so I'll skip that one. And then 8's next, and it's over here, so I'm finished. So there's all the ways possible to multiply two numbers to get 40, okay? Now, which of these two numbers is the ones I need for this factor to factor this trinomial? So what I do is, since there's a minus in front of that 40, I want the two numbers that subtract and get this number right here, 3. Well, I believe that's 5 and 8. So there's my numbers for my factors. All right, so I make this thing out here. I've got an x in both front of these factors. I've got a 5 in one, and I've got an 8 in the other one. Okay, now all I need is my signs that go in there. Okay, well, excuse me. This sign right here in the middle always goes to the bigger number, which it's going to go over here. So that's a minus right there. Always. This sign always goes to the bigger of these two numbers. Now, what's this number here? All right, well, that means I got to look at the last sign. And as far as the last sign, let's write this down here, okay? The last sign, if it's positive, that means both of your factors are going to be positive, or both of them will be negative. If your last sign's a negative, then that tells you you have a positive and a negative. Okay, so that's how you determine about the last sign, what the last sign tells you. My last sign here, if you notice, my last sign on this term is negative, which tells me, since it's negative, I have to have a positive and a negative in my factors. So I already have a negative, so that means this must be a positive. And there you go, we're factored completely. Okay, we'll do some more. Let's go to the next one. All right, write this in factored form. Okay, looking at this, there's no common factor. See, this is just a 1, so I can't pull out any number because it's a 1. And this term don't have x's, so I can't pull out any variable. So there's no common factor here on this. Now, so this is a trinomial. I can factor it like I did the previous problem here as far as getting these two factors like this. One thing I do notice, this is x to the fourth and this is x squared. So my exponents are doubled compared to what they normally are. See, normally we have x squared and an x term. Well, this is x to the fourth, which is doubled, and this is x squared, which is doubled. So that means when I factor this out, I'm going to have an x squared and an x squared. Okay, because these are doubled. All right, well, we do the same thing we did in the previous problem. We'll take this 144. Since this is a 1 in front, I got to take my 144 and break it down every which way possible. So 144 divided by 1 is 144. 144 divided by 2 is 72. 144 divided by 3 is 48. 144 divided by 4 is, let's see here, is that 3 to 36? 144 divided by 5 is a decimal. 144 divided by 6 is 24. 144 divided by 7 is a decimal. 144 divided by 8 is 18. 144 divided by 9 is, let's see here, 16. 144 divided by 10 is decimal. 144 divided by 11 is decimal. 144 divided by 12 is 12. And then, there you go, I got a number over here on this side, so that's all of them. So I just keep going, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, till I get to a number on this side, and I'm finished. Now, look at my pairs of numbers here. And in my problem, there's a plus right here, which means I need to add these numbers and get 25. I need the numbers that add and get 25. All right, so you just go down through there and add them, but I think it's this one right here, 9 and 16. They add up to 25. All right, so this is a 9, and this is a 16. Now I got to get my signs in. Okay, well, automatic. This sign right here goes to the big one, so that's going to come over here to this. Now, what's this sign here? All right, well, we've got to go back to the last sign thing we just talked about. The last sign. My last sign's a plus, which means they're either both positive or they're both negative. Well, I already got a negative here, so they must both be negative then. So that's a minus. Okay. And so we factored this down, but now I think there's still some more factoring that we can do. Because right here, if you remember from just a few weeks ago, this is a difference of squares. This is x squared, and this is 3 squared. So I can break this one down. X times x is x squared. 3 times 3 is 9. One's plus and one's minus. I can do this one the same way because this is x squared and that's 4 squared. This is a difference of squares. So I can break it down the same way. X times x is x squared. 4 times 4 is 16. One's plus and one's minus. And there you go. That is factored completely. Okay. All right, here's another one. I'm sorry about my voice. All right, factor this one. All right, we got x squared, we got an x. All right, so I don't see any x's, 4, 9. There's no common factor here. So I'm just looking through here. 4, 19, and 21. There's no number that goes into those. And there's no x here, so I can't pull out an x. So there's no common factors. All right, so I'm just going to factor this trinomial. But now there is a number in front here this time, 4. Which means I got to take this 4 right here, and I got to multiply it to this 21 right there. So 4 times 21 is 84. So I've got to take 84 and break it down every which way possible. So 84 divided by 1 is 84. 84 divided by 2 is 42. 84 divided by 3 is 28. 84 divided by 4 is 21. 84 divided by 5 is a decimal. 84 divided by 6 is 114. 84 divided by 7 is 12. 84 divided by 8 is a decimal, so skip it. 84 divided by 9 is decimal, skip it. 84 divided by 10 is decimal. 84 divided by 11 is decimal. And then 12 is next, and it's over here. So that tells me we're finished. So there's all the ways to multiply two numbers and get 84. Okay, now, which ones would work in this problem here? All right, so again, this last sign here is a positive, which means I'm going to add these numbers. I got to add, and I got to get 19. Okay, so I need to add these two numbers together, and I get 19. Well, it looks like this last one here is 7 and 12. 7 plus 12 is 19. So there's my numbers that work in here. So let's start this thing out. Now, I've got a 4 here. So what that means I'm going to do is I've got x times x to get x squared. But because of this 4 in front, I'm going to divide both of these numbers by 4. What are these numbers? Well, right here, 7 and 12. That's what we just figured out. 7 and 12. Okay. Now we get our signs in. All right. Well, automatic. This sign right here goes to the big one, which 12 over 4 is bigger than 7 over 4. So that's going to go over here. Okay. And then my last sign, I'll go back to this. My last sign in this is positive, which means they're both positive or they're both negative. Well, this one's already negative, so they must both be negative. Okay. All right, so now I simplify this. So 7 over 4 does not simplify. It does not simplify. So the 4 here goes over in front of the x. We can't have fractions in this. So the 4 goes over in front of the x. And there's this one. All right, now right here, simplify this. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So this is just x minus 3. And there you go. There's my factors. Okay. Here's one similar. This one's similar to that one, so we'll do it, okay? All right, so again, 8, 39, and 28, there's no common factor there, and then there's no x term in this last one, so like there's no common factor I can pull out of this. All right. So I'm going to take 8 here times 28. Okay. So that's 224. All right. So 224 divided by 1 is 224. 224 divided by 2 is 112. 224 divided by 3 is decimal, so skip it. 224 divided by 4 is 56. 224 divided by 5 is a decimal. 6 is a decimal. 7 goes into it 32 times. 8 and then 28. 9 doesn't go. 10. No, 224 divided by 10 is decimal. 224 divided by 11, decimal. 224 divided by 12, nope. 13, no. 14 goes into it, though. That's 17. Okay, let me make sure here. $16. And then 224 divided by 15 is decimal, and then 16's over there. So that's all of them. Okay. Now I'm looking for the 2 here. See, there's a plus. I'm going to add these. I got to add them, and I got to get 39. So which ones of these add and get 39 right there? 7 and 32. All right, so there's my numbers that go in the factors. Okay, so I'm going to have this. I'm going to have x in both these. X times x is x squared, but I have this 8 in front, which means I'm going to divide both of these numbers by 8. What are these numbers? Right there, 7 and 32. 7, 32. Okay, so x times x is x squared, but because I have this 8 here, I got to divide both of these by 8. Now my signs. All right, this sign right here always goes to the bigger one, and 32 over 8 is bigger than 7 over 8, so this minus goes over here. And now my last sign. All right, we've done this a few times here now. On my last sign, this last sign's positive, which means they're both positive or they're both negative. Well, I've already got a negative in there, so they must both be negative. So this is a negative. Okay. Now, we're just about done here. I try to simplify 7 over 8. It won't simplify. So that means I got to take this 8 And I got to move it over here in front of the x because we can't have fractions in our factors. No fractions in factors. So this 8 comes over in front of the x. And there's that one. And then this one here. Now that simplifies right here to 4. 32 divided by 8 is a 4. So this is x minus 4. And there we go. There's my factors. Okay. This next one here. Okay, now I think we've got common factors here. They all divide by 5. 5 goes into all three of these, and they all have an x. So I could pull out a common factor here. So I divide this. 5 divided by 5 would be 1, and then that'd be x squared. x3, take 1, that'd be x squared. Plus 10 divided by 5 is 2. I've got x squared. I'm dividing out of x, so that makes x. And negative 4 divided by 5 is negative 8, and I got the x factoring out. And now this one, there's no number in front of the x, so I take my 8. 8 divided by 1 is 8. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 8 divided by 3 is a decimal. 4 is an x. So that's all the possibilities here. Now, since this is a minus, I need to subtract and get 10. I need to, and get 2 right here. And right there, 2 and 4 are the ones that subtract and get 2. See, 4 minus 2 is 2. So that means I can make my factors here. X times x is x squared. There's no number in front, so I don't do any dividing. And I put the 2 in, I put the 4 in. I still got this 5x out front, so let's not forget about him. And then I want to get my signs in. So automatic, this sign right here goes in front of the big one. Okay. Then my last sign, is negative, which means I'm going to have a positive and a negative. I got to have a positive and a negative. I already got a positive, so this is negative. And there's my factoring right there. Okay. All right, write this one in factored form. All right, this is one like we did earlier where they're doubled. So when I factor this one out, I'm going to have x squared times x squared, which is x to the 4th. All right, take my 225. 225 divided by 1 is 225. 225 divided by 2 is a decimal. 225 divided by 3 is 75. 225 divided by 4 is a decimal. 225 divided by 5 is 45. 225 divided by 6 is a decimal. 7 is decimal. 8 decimal. 9. All right, 9 goes into it. Let's see here, 25 times. 225 out of 10 is decimal. 11 is decimal. 12, 13, 14, and then 15 times 15, and I got a number over there. So there's all the ways to multiply two numbers to get 225. All right, now which ones work for this? All right, well, there's a plus here. They've got to add and be 34. Okay, right here, 9 and 25. So there's going to be a 9 here and a 25 there. Okay. Now this sign right here goes to the big one. So that's going to be a minus over here. And then this last sign being positive. See, we're getting the hang of this now. Since the last sign's positive, they're both positive or they're both negative. So that's a negative, so they must both be negative. And there you go. But now in this one, and I think when you do these doubling ones like this, like we did here, this is a difference of squares. This is x squared, that's 3 squared. So I can break that down, x and 3. See, x times x is x squared, 3 times 3 is 9, one's plus and one's minus. And this is a difference of squares. I got x squared, I got 5 squared. So x and 5, x and 5. X times x is x squared, 5 times 5 is 25, one's plus and one's minus. And then look here, there's my factor completely right there. Okay. What we got here? Factor this one completely. All right, now this is just, there's no common factor here. And this is just a trinomial descending order. So 3 times 20 is 60. So we got a number from x squared, so I got to do 3 times 20. 60 divided by 1 is 60. 60 divided by 2 is 30. 60 divided by 3 is 20. 60 divided by 4 is 15. 60 divided by 5 is 12. 60 divided by 6 is 10. 60 divided by 7 is a decimal. 60 divided by 8 is a decimal. 60 divided by 9 is a decimal, and then 10 is over there. So that's it. Okay, now here there's a plus. It means I'm going to have to add these numbers and get 19. Add them and get 19. Right here. 4 and 15. All right, so I've got x times x is x squared, but see this 3 in front? I'm going to have to divide both of these by 3 because of that 3 in front. So I've got 4 and 15. That's the numbers. See right there? Those numbers we've decided to go in there. Now this one here goes to the big one automatically. 15 is bigger than 4. And the last sign being positive. All right. See here, the last sign being positive tells me they're both positive or they're both negative. So this is already negative, so they must both be negative. Okay, and then 4/3. Simplify this. Well, it doesn't. So the 3 goes over in front of the x, which means I have 3x minus 4. Right here, 15 divided by 3 is 5. And there you go. That's factored completely. Okay, almost finished. All right, oh, this is the same kind of problem here because we've got no common factor. We've got x squared, x, and then the constant. I got this number in front, so I got to take 4 times 10, which is 40. 40 divided by 1 is 40. 40 divided by 2 is 20. 40 divided by 3 is a decimal. 40 divided by 4 is 10. 40 divided by 5 is 8. 40 divided by 6 is a decimal. 40 divided by 7 is a decimal, and then 8's over there. So that's it. All right, which one, since that's a minus, they got to subtract and get 3. Right there, 5 and 8. So 5 and 8 are my numbers that go in there. All right, so it means we have this. X times x is x squared. But see that 4 in front? I've got to divide both of these by 4. Well, that's a 5 and an 8. So let's put this 5 and 8 in there. Okay, now my signs, this one right here goes to the big one. And the last sign's a minus. Now look here now, since that last sign's a minus, that means I got to have a positive and a negative on my signs. And there's a positive, so this must be a negative. Okay, and now 5 divided by 4, that does not simplify, so I take that 4 over in front of the x. Right here, 8 divided by 4 is 2, so that's x plus 2. Okay, and there's my factors. All right, last one. And this is a similar problem we've just done the previous two. So 3 times 40 is 120. 120 divided by 1 is 120. 120 divided by 2 is 60. 120 divided by 3 is 40. 120 divided by 4 is 30. 120 divided by 5 is 24. 120 divided by 6 is 20. 120 divided by 7 is a decimal. 120 divided by 8 is 15. 120 divided by 9 is a decimal. 120 divided by 10 is 12. 120 divided by 11 is a decimal. 12 is over there. So that's it. Well, that's a long one. All right. Now, since we got a minus right here, I got to subtract these, and I got to get 19. So I need to subtract them and get 19 right here. 24 minus 5 is 19. So there's my numbers that go in. So I'm going to have x times x to get x squared, but I have got that 3 in front, so both of these divide by 3. My numbers are 5 and 24. Okay, now this sign right here goes to the big one. 24 over 3 is bigger than 5 over 3, so that goes here. And my last sign's a minus, which means I have to have a positive and a negative. All right, there's a positive, so that must be my negative right there. Okay, and then I simplify these fractions. You can't have fractions in your factors. So 5 divided by 3 does not simplify, so the 3 goes over in front of the x, right there. 3x minus 5. Right here, 24 divided by 3 simplifies to 8. And there you go, there's my factors. All right, so that's factoring trinomials, the different patterns and different ways we do that. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'm here for you anytime. Have a good rest of the day.